Hey there. So yes, you see me sitting in a recliner. And in the back, you can see food and resupply. I am at the condo. I will get to that. For now, I just wanted to say, I don't think I've done like an official update in a while. There's a few days that things have happened. So last you knew, my friend Sherry was joining me on the trails, and it was phenomenal. So I see her. We had a wonderful time. She moved to Vermont, and so I haven't been able to spend a lot of time with her. And so we spent the whole day catching up. But I got to tell you what, we hiked the Kinsmans. I've done the Kinsmans. For that matter, I did Moosalok. For that matter, I did Lafayette Lincoln and Garfield and all of them. So many of them. But somehow the AT managed to find the most rugged, the most difficult, the rockiest, the rootiest, the steepest possible trails to get me to the very same points that I've already been. Clearly, I took more agreeable trails to the summits of these mountains before. Oh my gosh, that day with Sherry, it was just, I had never taken this trails to the Kinsmans. And it was so long and so steep and so rugged. I'm using the same words because there are no other words. It was just grueling. Well, we were freaking beasts because we got it done. Although I got to tell you what, but after all the hugs and hellos and I love yous and good to see yous, we probably didn't start till 8. We did not stop till 7, and we got 15 miles done. There was over 4,600 feet of gain that day. And then we get to the camp. We get to this brook where I was told, Cascade Brook, where I was told there would be gorgeous. I think it's a gorgeous campsite. I couldn't find it. We managed just fine, but it was not like the ideal campsite, right? It wasn't. But Sherry said she was comfortable. I was certainly comfortable. I had told her, let me take the less favorable campsite. I'm used to it. Tent site, I should say. I'm used to it. She goes, no. She said, I'm perfectly fine over here. So anyway, we slept well that night, let's just say. So then the next morning, I had to say goodbye to her. We only did 1.5 miles because we did, most of the hike yesterday. She ended up parking her car at 93. So at the trailhead at 93. So she took off. After that, I didn't know it could get worse. Oh my gosh. Liberty Springs Trail. Okay. What was it? It was almost 3 miles. I want to say it was, I took a screenshot because I got to show you just that trail. Okay. I took a screenshot of just the route for that trail and the stats. I think it was 2.7 miles. It was 1,001. The grade was 1,001 feet per mile. Okay. When anything over 500, I think is steep. And this was 1,001 feet per mile. I was like, it couldn't possibly go more straight up. And then, let's see, that day, so then I crossed the ridge. All right, now I'm on Franconia Ridge. I'm familiar with that, but I went the opposite direction. Anyway, got through that. That was pretty familiar. Okay, so that wasn't the end of the world, although I had to laugh because, as I said in one of the videos, I see Lafayette. It's a perfect clear bluebird day. Not maybe a wispy cloud in the sky. And then as I'm getting closer to Lafayette and ready to summit, a rain cloud just comes in and blows out the view. Okay, that's fair. Anyway, that's the White Mountains. So I get going. My plan was to stop at Garfield campsite, but I got there at 3, and you would have thought I'd have been happy with that. But no, I wasn't. I said, maybe I can do more. And I'll tell you why I thought maybe I could do more. Because I knew the next day I was going to be coming to the condo just to sleep, just to spend the night and then hit the trail again. And I thought, you know what? If I can do more on that day, then it's a quicker, I'll get to the condo quicker and spend more time there, which I preferred. I said, I'd rather hike longer into the evening and get longer at the condo. Okay, you understand my logic, right? So I'm climbing. the stealth sites that I had been hoping for, all the water sites were dried up. All the water sources were dried up near them. So it wasn't working out. And then I'm just going up and I'm going up and I'm going up and I'm going up. Finally, I'm thinking the only option at this point is Gyu campsite, which was still like 3 miles away. And the worst part, it's a mile off trail. So I go 3 miles so that I can go a mile off trail and then a mile back to trail. Yeah, no, I don't like that. So I'm like, I'm like, what other option do I have? Well, I passed by Gale Head Hut, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just check and see if they have a bunk. It was like a hop, skip, and a jump. It was like 20 steps to their door. And they said, yeah, we have a free bunk. And it was still before dinner, so I hadn't missed dinner. I'm like, I'm doing it. It was $148 because I have an AMC membership. I'm like, whatever, I'm doing it. The only regret with that is breakfast is served at 7, and I like to be out before 7. Not to say I always am, but I like to be. And I actually had toyed with really getting out by maybe 6:30 that day. But I said, you know what? I need somewhere to land, somewhere safe, somewhere dry, whatever. So I took the bunk, and you know what? It was great. It was funny. They had a private school or something. There was like 20 kids. And yet, you know what? The minute they said lights out, not a peep. I thought there's never going to be quiet. It wasn't. Lights out, kids didn't say a word. Had, what did they have? Like an enchilada bake for dinner. And then had, the usual oatmeal, eggs, bacon, and some kind of coffee cake for breakfast. But the best part, I saw Jupiter and Sunshine. They actually had hiked up. Oh, so much more. So I saw them at the hut. They had come hoping for leftovers because, sometimes if there's leftover food at the huts and the thru hikers stay long enough into the night, the crew will give them the leftovers. So they were really counting on that. And so they hung out. And when I saw them through the window, I'm like, oh my God, because I haven't seen them in weeks, right? So anyway, we caught all up on that, and come to find out, somebody told Sunshine that I was on trail. I still don't even know who. So she's like, I was booking it to get here so I could see you. I was like, oh, I feel the love. I feel so much love. Anyway, that was really nice to catch up with them. And I met Poppins, which I had heard of Poppins. And I finally met him. And then Pigpen, who he was one of the guys that I met when Chuck and Dennis were doing that great trail magic with, assuaging fears of the White Mountains. Okay. So he was with that group. They had actually done work for Stay. So we laughed until lights out, right? That was so great. And then the next morning, I'm getting my pack ready because the minute breakfast is over, I want to get going. And Crazy comes around the corner. I hadn't seen him in, a month. I thought, I was starting to wonder if he even was still on trail. And there he was. And so hugged him, said hello. Then he just had to use the facilities and he was off. It was really great. Until, this is where familiarity took over. My first and only real significant climb of yesterday was South Twin. And it was actually easier than I remembered. Not easy. Nothing's ever easy. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Easier than I remembered. So I get to the summit, and stupid me, honest to God, I decide, okay, I must have cell service. So I'm going to message my children, my family, and I'm going to send Neil a text because I know he's going to be wanting to know what time to expect me on 302. And now that I have climbed the most challenging summit, I figured I can put a reasonable guesstimate together. While doing that, while talking into my phone to text, I went straight because that's what I did last time I climbed South Twin. South Twin to North Twin. I just went straight. I should have turned right. Yes, I should have. If I had read the sign, but I didn't. I did the very thing I swore I was not going to do in the White Mountains. I'm bebopping along because I want this to happen fast. So I am going downhill now. I'm going down South Twin as fast as I can. until all of a sudden I see this bright blue blaze in front of me. And I'm telling you, my heart just fell right out of my chest. And I was like, because now I have to climb back up South Twin from the other side to get back on trail. I knew exactly what happened in the instant that I saw that blue blaze. I told myself, I said, you do not have the energy to be mad at yourself. You don't have the energy to be angry right now. Just turn around and get your tail back on that summit. That's what you have energy for. So I hauled tail and got back on the summit of South Twin, texted Neil and said, scratch that. Went off trail. I think really all said and done. And I hauled. It was a 35-minute mistake. I don't know how far I had gotten. All I cared about was that it was straight down and I had to go straight up again. Anyway, now I'm back on the AT, which should have made sense because toward North Twin wasn't even that difficult. Steep, but not difficult. I get back on the AT and sure enough, that's all the rocks and all the roots and all the elevation just starts right there. Okay. I said, just don't even be mad at yourself. Just please, just don't waste the energy. So let's just get to 302 where Neil will pick you up. And, yeah. So yesterday, all right, let me just finish yesterday. There was only except for what I added, because I have no idea what that was. It was 2,100 feet of gain. It was only 14 and a half miles. So whatever I added to that, whatever. But the terrain, even on the flats, was just so technical and so grueling because you can't just step anywhere. It's all rocks and roots. And then it was right before some shelter, Goose Pond shelter or something. I don't even know. Maybe that's wrong. Don't hold me to that. Some kind of shelter. There was like this 3 miles of just flat-ish pine needles. It was a ridge walk. It was so nice. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to make up the time that I had lost going down that wrong side of the mountain. And I did. My goal was 4 o'clock at the trailhead, and I made it. And you know what's really crazy? Honest to God, I had told Neil the wrong spot. I told him where to pick me up. I used a structure, like the train station. That's what I told him. I said, there was a train station. I said, that's where I should be coming out. Go to the train station. Do you know he got there and he's like, that's not right. This just doesn't seem right. Something told him that wasn't right, and it wasn't right. It was 4 miles away. It wasn't right. And there's no cell service to be had. He somehow figured it out. Something told him it wasn't right. He figured it out. He still can't quite fully explain how he figured it out, but he figured it out. Can you believe that? Like, don't even tell me there isn't a God. Don't even tell me the Holy Spirit isn't helping me out here, because there's no way that should have corrected itself. But next thing I know, I'm like just feeling like I have just had enough. And here he is coming up the hill. And I'm thinking, this is crazy town. This is crazy. I didn't even know about the wrong location yet. He's the one that told me, he goes, I'm not at the train station. You're not at the train station. Anyway, it was an, quote, less arduous day, but I was beat, like utterly spent. And I think it was a combination of minus the day I spent in Sterling with my granddaughter. Keep in mind, that day I was on my feet most of the day, so that really wasn't a true zero. If you take the last 7 days, it's been like one continuous race day. I've just been pushing. Go. Not letting up at all until the second I break camp. It's like I'm trying to push too many miles and too much effort forward, and I'm so afraid it's going to break my spirit. And I know I've said this 1,000 times. I'm going to slow down and do less miles. I finally learned my lesson. So I saw Neil coming up the thing, and I said to him, he brought me grapes. I ate like half the bag. The walk down, it was probably like quarter mile. I ate half the bag. They were so good, and I was so thirsty. And I said, I've learned my lesson. So last night on my recliner, I reconfigured my route. It didn't change that much. It just spaced out the hikes. Tomorrow's going to be very short. It's all because, I'm getting back on trail. So where have I gotten? So I told Neil I need a true rest day, a true zero, where I do nothing but sit in this recliner. I need a break where I don't go running around to the grocery store, where I'm not putzing around doing all the chores. I need to sit in this recliner for a whole day. I don't even want to go out to eat. I said, bring me a sandwich. I said, go get me a sandwich from the deli. I don't want to move. And so that's what I'm doing today. And it's raining. So it worked out perfect. And it's supposed to rain through the night. So it worked out perfect, actually. It was meant to be a rest day. It was meant to be a true zero. But I will be right back on track tomorrow, for sure. And I reconfigured my plan. Less arduous days. Tomorrow is actually going to be significantly low miles, but that's because I'm going to be getting up on the ridge presidential range. And once I'm up there, I'm above tree line way more often than not. And there's not much, if memory serves, once I get past Lake of the Clouds, there's not much for me to, there's no stealth sites. I'm above tree line. There's nowhere for me to pitch my tent. So I wanted to stay at the Lake of the Clouds hut, but being a Friday, it's probably been booked a year in advance. So that was not available. So I'm staying at Mitzpah Hut. They have a campsite. So I'm going to stay there. And then from there, I'm just doing 12 to 15, but the 15 is less elevation. Anyway, this is going to be better for me. It is going to make my finish day a little further out, but not a whole lot. No, but it's going to be better because I want to keep loving this. I don't want this to become this chore that I have to complete now. I want to still love it. And right now I still do. So let's keep that going by being smarter. And it's me I have to convince, not you. I'm sure you guys are like, well, you were on board the first time I said it 3 states ago, right? It's me. So, but what I forgot to tell you on that wicked arduous day where I just was like, I have had enough, and I stayed at Galehead Hut. It was more than I could bear. That was only 14 and a half miles. And I did over 6,100 feet of gain. It was insane. The steepness. I told you about Liberty Springs Trail. I'm going to show you a picture. I took a screenshot. And it was like that for the last week. So this day was needed. It's about time I allowed myself to have it. But anyway, yeah, I love my White Mountains. I just never explored these trails before. I still love you, White Mountains. And not yet. I met a thru hiker. He's already summited Katahdin. He had this one section in the White Mountains, which went from Garfield. I don't know where he started, but it included Garfield to Lafayette. Because I saw him somewhere after I summited. I don't summit. You go right by the summit. After I got by Mount Garfield, he was headed towards. I was getting water. He came up the hill. He was so happy. He was headed to Lafayette. He did not have that much further to go. And that was going to be his completion, right on the summit of Lafayette. The sense of accomplishment, the excitement, the joy that was all over this guy. I was just so happy for him. I can't wait for my turn, but I was so happy for him. But he stopped to say hi, and he said, little advice, just so you know, Maine is a lot more of this. I was like, it's like, you don't know what Maine, because I've never hiked Maine. I didn't know what to expect, but he said it's a lot more of this. So my plan to be nicer to myself is a good one for me. And, and I'll be in Maine. I mean, as of right now, there's only 84 miles left in New Hampshire, and then I hit Maine. Now, Maine miles are the second largest amount of miles. So Maine has the second largest. I think it was Pennsylvania. I can't remember. Virginia has a ton. Pennsylvania has a ton. I don't remember, but Maine has the second most miles. Anyway, I think I've caught you up. If there's anything else, I'm going to pick up this phone and do it because now is the best time for it. Well, I'm sitting in my recliner doing nothing else but letting my hand go numb. God. Anyway, and that's all did I say this already? That's all my resupply behind me. Well, it's not all of it. I'm going to pick from it. But my husband overdid it this time. He just bought anything and everything I could possibly want. He's so good to me. Anyway, it's been really great being able to utilize my condo. But it is a rental property and we have guests coming in tomorrow. So can't come back. It's over. The fun is over. But anyway, at 12 miles a day, I can do this in 30 days. But I do have a hostel stay coming in a week. So that will throw off that. And there will be other hostel stays, let's be honest. But 31 days at 12 miles a day until I add some hostel stays. The finish is in sight. It's really great. And you know what? One of the things, I had like 10 goals for this trip, for this adventure, for this journey. And one of them was to truly, truly discover what I'm made of and what I'm capable of. And if nothing else, this bit of the whites has done that for me, has shown me that I really can do it. Push come to shove, I may not love every second of it, but I can do it. And I love that. And for that, like I said, for that, I'm discovering what I'm actually truly made of. And for that, I am truly thankful for this experience. Even though it's been rough, even though it's been grueling, even though it makes you want to just break down and cry. And I haven't yet. I haven't cried one time on the AT. Jasper says that to be a true hiker, two things have to happen. You ready? Cry on trail. Haven't done that. And you have to poop your pants. Haven't done that. Anyway, probably not going to tell you if I do. But anyway, it makes you want to. It really does make you want to. It's demoralizing sometimes, this trail, especially this section. But you know what? Every day I'm discovering what I'm made of. And for that, I am very, very grateful. All right. I think that's enough for now. I'll fill you in with there's more if I think of it, and I know there will be. Okay. Until later. Bye. You knew there was something else, right? You knew there had to be something else. And while I was rambling, I kept thinking of it and still never got it out. Anyway, one of the things, you know that I hike alone a lot, right? But I'm never really feeling alone because I pass a lot of hikers or hikers pass me, or you see them coming southbound. There's day hikers, weekend hikers, section hikers, through hikers. And every time you get an encouraging smile or high five, or when you see a familiar face with a hey you and a hug, it just helps the day pass. It's such an encouraging thing. It's the familiar faces. It's the we know what you're going through because they're going through it too. And one of the things that I've been very lucky, I made these three friends, Princess Slacker, Rebel J, and Frito. And they're big slack packers, okay? 1,000 ways you can do this trail. They choose to do slack packing, which just simply means that they have to get to, I guess the way that it works primarily, there's other ways, I suppose, they get to hostels that offer slack packing, and then I'll see them coming southbound because the hostel driver will drive them out farther, and then they walk back to the hostel. So we're actually keeping in the same general area. They're just doing it a different way than I am. And the fact that they travel southbound when they're doing their slacking means that we cross paths. And there was a time when I hadn't seen them for maybe a couple weeks, and I thought, oh my gosh, they must have just, finally bounced way ahead of me. But I've been lucky. The day I saw Sherry, I was hiking with Sherry. we bumped into them. I'm sure you saw the picture. So it was so good to see them then. And spirits were still high. The whites had not broken us yet, right? But I got to say, when I saw them the day that I stayed at Galehead, the day that it was just that insane climb up Liberty Springs, and they were doing southbound, and it was still just as awful in the reverse, right? It wasn't like, oh, southbound was easier. No, it was just as awful, because here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're going up or you're going down. The trail has just been so awful, technically. I mean, you know, like at a technical level. I've said this 1,000 times. I can't say it enough. So it doesn't matter if they went up or they were going down. You could see that they had a rough time of it. And I knew I had a very rough time of it. And they were, that was the first time that I think I actually saw them worn out and just really not their super positive selves. I was not my super positive self. But yet it was so nice to see them again and be able to just maybe say something encouraging. And, they certainly encouraged me when I passed by them. And hopefully I was able to encourage them, although I didn't have a lot to offer. But anyway, I got to see them on that day, and it was really good. And I'm hoping I get to see them again so that I can give them this, rested, positive attitude and not the half-broken attitude, bit of me. Not attitude, but bit of me. Anyway, always so good to see them. Always so good to see all the thru hikers on the trail and know that we're just doing what we do and keeping at it. And it's hard, but we're all in it together, and we're there for each other, and it's awesome. And that's what I wanted to say.
And here is a glimpse of my favorite hostel. Okay, so it's really our condo. It's not much, but you know what? It is my most favorite place on the earth. It is so peaceful here. I mean, look at this. This is what I love this about this complex. Look at this. Look at. They could have, but they didn't. They did not overbuild. Look at this. And this is like for a lot of the different clusters. We're in Pine Cluster. And this is what it's like. Just lots of woods, lots of privacy. There's our neighbor. And then way back there is another duplex. Yeah, so that back part is not us. Of course, if they ever sell, I'd love to know. My family's growing. We could use the space. No, just kidding. But anyway. Oh, and way down there, I don't know if you can hear it. It's kind of faint right now. But way in that dark area, when there's been enough rain, there's a stream. So I can hear the water sounds. I sit up on our, we have this deck. You can hear it through the slider, but here, I'll show you the deck. We've got this wraparound deck here. And if I clean up the inside a little bit, I might show it to you. But right now, it looks like a bomb went off. See, not much. Not cluttered. I don't want it cluttered since we have rental guests. They don't want it cluttered. They want to bring their own, sense to the space. If it's all filled with my personality, they're not going to feel comfortable. At least that's my opinion. And it's wicked funny. So we have cameras, right? Motion cameras, just to keep an eye on the place. And while I'm on the Appalachian Trail complaining that I have not yet seen a bear, although I know I did eventually see a bear, but while I was complaining that I had not seen a bear walked through the yard, got up on the deck, and was just walking around. It was so cute. I said, well, maybe the bears were coming to see me. Since I couldn't see the bears where I was, they were like, hey, we'll come to you, don't worry. It was so cute. It was just a little guy. Anyway, yeah, so never leave your trash out. Anyway, I am all packed, ready to go for tomorrow, eager to get back at it. I don't even know what I got left. 340 miles left? Something like that. But it rained quite a bit today. And it's supposed to rain through the evening. So you know what? If I took a day off, this was the one to take. If I was, you know what? I needed it anyway. Mental health, I needed it. And physically, I really did. I'm not one to just, sit down and take a break unless I really need it. And I really felt I needed it. So, now that I've done a really good job of trying to convince you, it's more convincing me. But no, I trusted my decision. It was exactly the right thing to do. But now I'm actually ready. I feel ready to get back out there and get back at it. And now we will just, I am going to have a very long week though. 6 days till the next hostel. So I'm carrying 6 days worth of food. I know. A lot of hikers would never do that. It just works for me. So I got to eat like 1.5 pounds of food every day. I weighed it. The food for that 6 days weighs 10 pounds, 3 ounces. My pack weight minus food and water, 19.2. How awesome is that? Okay, enough. Anyway, just wanted to show you. Love my little piece of the earth. I absolutely love it here. All right, until tomorrow. Good night.